Are you a business looking for a fresh new way to reach potential customers? Well, you need to get airtime on IT TV, a 24/7 streaming and on-demand TV service online and on Roku. With Roku having a potential reach of 62 million people, it's a perfect opportunity to reach potential customers through affordable commercial and infomercial spots. Visit us online today at itnetwork.tv.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for joining me on another episode of the Roundtable Talk Show. I am your host, Sharifah Hardie, and we have an incredible day for you today. We're going to laugh, we're going to learn, we're going to share some information. But before we do, you definitely want to go ahead and share this show. There's someone in your network, in your neighborhood, maybe a coworker, a spouse, a child, I don't know. But someone needs this information. They need to build their business. They need to grow. And they will not have this information unless you go ahead and share the show with them. And as I always say, friends don't let friends miss out on the Roundtable Talk Show. So while you're going ahead and introducing the show to your friends, I'm going to go ahead and introduce one of our new friends, Miss Chastity Snow. She is the CEO and co-founder of Company Curators. She's a romance author and author coach. She's the pattern interpreter who helps women build confidence, provides sisterhood, and lifts voices. Good morning, Chastity. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing great. How are you today?
I'm excited to learn all about you.
I'm excited to be here and share about me.
Okay, well, tell us a little bit about you. Who are you? What do you do? And what are you passionate about?
Okay, I'm Chastity Snow. I'm from a small town, Clarksville, Tennessee. And for the past 4 years, I have been a fiction romance author. I have about 36 books published to date. But now I'm in a space and passionate about helping other women share their stories, share their truths, get published, feel confident while they do it, and understand that they don't have to do it alone, because it can get a little weird in the literary streets, as we call it. But I also work for a company and help found a company that also specializes in making sure Black women are owning their time and talent as well, as far as business and working in assignment-based businesses. So that's what I do. Oh, and I'm a mom, and I'm a dog mom and a cat mom.
Wonderful. I just want to go back to these 36. You look 21. How do you publish 36 books?
Dedication, honestly. But no, I'll be honest with you. At first, I didn't realize I even wanted to do it. It just started out blogging, and then a friend of mine told me, she's like, I think you got a book in your belly, and I kind of blew her off. And then before you know it, right into me, if you're depending on what realm you're in, it can be like popping a can of Pringles. Once you start, you really can't stop. And if this is what you're really supposed to be doing, there's inspiration everywhere. So dedication and deciding that I wanted to quit my job to write full time. That's how I got 36 books done in a matter of 4 years. Just saying, I'm gonna just quit and I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna write books. And that's what I did.
Wonderful, wonderful. We're going to find out a little bit more about you, but we want to go ahead and introduce our next guest, Mr. Alex Young. Alex is a residential, real estate expert based in Northeast Wisconsin that has been in the business almost 5 years. Recognized as the best of the Bay for best real estate agent the past 2 years, and most recently nominated for Young Entrepreneur of the Year. Alex looks to build a real estate experience for clients based around service and his never-ending quest to add value. How are you this morning?
I'm doing very well. A bit cold, so if anybody has some warm weather they can send up to Northeast Wisconsin, I would appreciate it.
We're going to send you some warm weather from all over the world. That's what we'll do. Tell us about yourself, Alex.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm originally a Green Bay native up here in Northeast Wisconsin, land of the Green Bay Packers, beer, cheese, and all things beautiful, I guess. Been in real estate as a real estate agent and broker here now going on 5 years. As you had mentioned in my introduction, this is a new chapter in my life. Fortunately, I've got the support of my loving wife, Amanda, and our beautiful 7.5-year-old dog, Sierra. She's an Australian Kelpie. A couple things that I guess keep me occupied throughout the year. soccer, old fashions, and winter weather.
Wow. Sounds like a lot of fun. We are going to come back to you, but I just want to go ahead and introduce our next guest, Mr. Gary Rotman. Gary Rotman is also amazing. He founded Life Assist Technologies Inc., an elder care technology SaaS company in April 2018. Gary spun off the standalone product Reminder Rosie that he invented and developed and co-founded Simple Technology LLC with Bruce Barnett. Good morning, Gary. How are you?
Not too bad. Doing great here in sunny Mexico.
Can you send Alex some warm weather, please?
You know what? Whoever can invent that is going to be, the inventor of the ages. So I'm working on it. I'm an inventor, so I'll try.
Okay. Well, before you invent that, will you tell us a little bit about yourself? Who are you? What do you do? And what are you passionate about?
Oh, geez. In 30 seconds, that's a tough one. But so I was born and raised in Toronto, Canada. I'm an inventor, mad scientist, entrepreneur. Geez, I do a lot of different things. But I'm passionate mostly about developing products, services that really help people have a little bit better quality of life. You mentioned Reminder Rosie. So I invented, well, it's kind of sunny here. But this is a talking a clock that reminds people to take their meds. Dad, I love you. Take your 2 pills after dinner. So tens of thousands of people are using Reminder Rosie. This is the Rosie 2, a new version we just launched, and they're quietly living a more independent, more dignified life at home. Staying at home longer and remembering their tasks. So, that's it in a really quick nutshell. And then we expanded the product line into several other products that are easy to use, no Wi-Fi, and helping people literally age at home longer with more dignity and independence.
Wow, I have a lot of questions about that, but we are going to come back to you, Gary. I just want to go ahead and introduce our next guest, the lovely Miss Natalie.
Hello. My name is Natalie Plain. Thank you for having me, first and foremost. I really started off wanting to be a journalist. So I studied journalism, communications, and my goal was to be a White House correspondent for NBC News. One of my mentors was Brian Williams, NBC anchorman, was a White House intern as well. And I figured whatever he did right, I'll follow in his footsteps. So following college graduation, I applied to be a White House intern and was afforded the privilege to work under President Bill Clinton and the First Lady Hillary Clinton. And it taught me a lot about discipline and hard work. And I walked away from there wanting to continue in journalism. And I pivoted very early on because I shot documentaries, shot run and gun news journalism. And then I saw a white space in the beauty section were eyebrows, thinning brows, graying brows, crooked brows. And I created a company called $1 Billion Brows from my apartment in Los Angeles with one product called Brow Boost that is still in the market today. And fast forward 18 years, we have spun off into $1 Billion Brushes, $1 Billion Beauty, and now we're going into $1 Billion brands and beyond. So it's really exciting time. So I'm excited to share my journey.
Wow. I'm going to have to learn more because it seems like we have quite a few inventors and people who are changing things for other people. So we are going to come back to you. I just want to go ahead and introduce my next guest, Miss Rachel Neal. How are you this morning, Rachel?
I'm excellent. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Now, Rachel is an entrepreneur and co-founder of Carex Consulting Group, Shenanigan Kids, The Figgy, and Talent Bandit. Passionate about the startup space, scaling companies, raising capital, and women in tech. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Rachel.
Yeah, so I'm here in Madison, Wisconsin. So again, I'm experiencing some cold weather, but hey, I'm used to it by now. As you said, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm really, really passionate about the startup space and helping women understand how to raise capital. I've raised capital several times myself, first for Carex and second for the Figgy. I'm also a mom to 6 kids. So my youngest is just 12 weeks. So if I'm a little tired, that's probably to blame. But I'm really, really excited to be here and love that there's other entrepreneurs in the product space on here. I've got unique experience in that I've done a little bit in software, a little bit in the product side with the Figgy, and then in the professional services side. And so I can attest to how different they all are.
Absolutely. We're going to learn more about you. I just want to go ahead and introduce our next guests, which are a lovely couple. CJ and Larissa created the hit rom-com The Misadventures of Mistress Maneater and founded Binary Star Pictures to create uniquely entertaining films that inspire laughs and conversation. Good morning to Larissa and CJ. How are you?
Hey,
Hello
everybody.
there.
We're happy to be here. Yeah, so we established Binary Star Pictures to, I don't know how many people out there have seen movies where it's like, I've seen this before, I've seen these characters before, I've seen all these scenarios before. And we decided to start making films that showed the kind of scenarios and stories and characters that we wanted to see that are fresh and unique.
Yeah, so The Misadventures of Mistress Maneater, it's a romantic comedy blowing up and recreating the genre with mystery, action, laugh out loud gags. We're averaging 4.5 out of 5 stars on Amazon Prime.
With hundreds and hundreds of positive reviews we're really proud of.
Yes, and Marie Asner of the Kansas City Film Critics Circle just named us her #2 pick for Best Independent Film of 2021. So we're on Amazon Prime, Tubi TV, Google Play, Apple TV, and IMDb TV, and hope everyone checks it out.
So we're kind of inventors too, but we created a movie from scratch.
Yes, I'm a writer and an actor, full-time freelancer in the performing arts. I'm a published and internationally produced playwright. As an actor, I've appeared on The Bold and the Beautiful, Chicago PD, and worked on games for the Mortal Kombat, Injustice, and Harry Potter franchises for the last 14 years. But first and foremost, I'm a storyteller. And as a picky viewer, I write what I want to see more of. Stories.
She is very picky.
I'm very, very picky, very Virgo. But I wanted to create stories that are smart and funny and sexy and exciting with high stakes and usual characters. And after the roller coaster ride has come back to Earth, that hopefully make you feel a little more hopeful about the world.
Yep.
Wow. Now, we spoke prior to the show, Larissa, and one of the things that you said is you tuned into yesterday's show. And I know I'm one of those people, you talk about television, I'm always screaming at the television, my own points, like the people can hear me. But you had some thoughts on entrepreneurship in yesterday's conversation, and I'd love to hear it.
Oh, yes. Well, I heard you observing how the most successful entrepreneurs often have multiple businesses or streams of income.
Right.
And I found that particularly in the performing arts, and for any of your listeners who want to get into that, it is the only way to not just survive, but thrive, as I've discovered over the last 20 years since I was in film school. Since we've honed so many skills that are essential to filmmaking in front of and behind the camera over the years, CJ and I, it was the only way we were able to make our film at the level of excellence for which we strove within the budget available.
We did all the jobs. So I directed the film. We both produced it. Larissa wrote it and stars in it. And we did everything from soup to nuts when it came to production. And we never could have done it otherwise if we didn't have all of these skills. I was the artistic director of a theater company outside of Chicago for a decade. And a lot of those skills of producing for stage translated to film, although film is a lot harder.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure that Charity can probably relate to this as an author. Actors and writers and creatives and musicians, everyone is in a completely new world than they were 30 years ago. 30 years ago, you could just, like, if you were an audiobook actor per se, all you had to do was be good at reading your audiobooks and have an understanding of your voice. But even if you're union nowadays, you have to be able to direct yourself, record yourself with the proper equipment, have a home studio, be able to edit yourself, find the work, negotiate your rate. And I know that so much as a novelist, it doesn't matter if you're traditionally published or not, or self-published, all the marketing falls on you. Yeah. And that's a completely different skill set. And that's what we discovered as filmmakers too, is that it's not just enough to be to be the writer, to be the actor, to create a great film, then you have to make sure the world is able to see it. And that's part of the reason we're out here today. And I'm so sorry, Chastity. I
I knew who you were talking to. It's close enough, but no, you're absolutely right. When it comes to being an author, there are multiple things that you have to consider and be, but not only that, everything has changed. And I can say that because before I became an author, I was an avid reader of all genres, books, and I'm sure you can see back here my bookshelf, and that's just one of them. But things have changed as far as ebooks and the accessibility of it. There's so much more out there, and you aren't able to take the time that you need sometimes anymore. It's like you've got to turn into a mini machine. And that is a little bit of why I got into, coaching other authors, is because while you can be a mini machine to release it, because that's how you make your money, but there is a certain point in that you just have to kind of think about quality over quantity. And
yes.
and when you're in a space of entertainment, you've got to be able to do both, right? You've got to be able to produce, but you've also got to be able to produce quality work. And sometimes the lines get blurred between what's quality and how can I release enough to where I make money from it and I can pay my light bill and enjoy this and it not be a job. So yeah, you're right.
That's a debate we have with a lot of filmmakers as well, because our concentration was always the highest quality possible.
We always felt like if our name was on it, it had to happen. So when I was doing theater in Chicago, any production that had my name attached to it as a director or producer, it had to have an unbelievable amount of quality. So you get a level of name cachet in the marketplace. But now, instead of doing it on a micro level locally as theater, now we're doing it on a macro level because movies are streaming on all the online platforms. So the trouble that we all have as self-generated creators, and I would imagine that anybody who does this, publishing books and whatnot, literally the only way to separate yourself is to have really stellar quality, because the unfortunate thing is when you're doing this kind of work on your own, you kind of get lumped in with the lowest common denominator. And, we made a Hollywood quality film we had 19 million minutes streamed of it just on Prime in the third quarter. And we're proud of that. But at the same time, films that we make are lumped in with the same kind of films that are made with an iPhone and no sound person in somebody's basement.
I think we see this across like other industries too.
Yeah.
So like on the professional services side, it's a commoditized industry, right? Staffing, bringing in talent. And that was how Carex really differentiated ourselves as well. It was about bringing quality to the table and bringing value. And I heard Alex talk about the value earlier as well, like wanting to really emphasize that. And I think across multiple industries, that's what people are looking for. It's the high quality, high value, and the speed in which you can get it to people. I've noticed that speed has been increasingly a factor in our society. We've got Amazon, we're used to this instant gratification. And so I feel like it's very interesting to be an entrepreneur or a business owner right now and to be able to balance those two things.
Alex, I'd love to hear from you since Rachel mentioned.
Well, and that's the nice thing. Obviously, being in the real estate realm, I can attest 100% to the being roped into whoever the lowest denominator or what the lowest denominator is, whether it's in writing or in business. It's difficult because I think a lot of that comes down to just the branding, like you had mentioned earlier. It's what you associate your name with. You want it to be associated with high quality, high value, and whether you're selling yourself, it's not a matter of what you want other people to think of you. It's a matter of what are they actually saying without you having to prompt anything. So when they see your name on a production, when they see your name on a book as an author or anything else, it's okay, I recognize this name with high quality, high value, and being able to do that in the space instantly, because our attention spans are short. So being able to do that in a split second, it comes from that experience, and it comes from delivering the product. You can't just talk the talk; you have to walk the walk as well.
Absolutely.
We're
Natalie, you
in a
feel like
microwave society. Sorry.
no, it's
Yes.
okay. I'm just trying to get Natalie's thoughts since you're actually have products.
Yeah, no, I love being in the consumer product goods side of the business. I didn't see that coming. Again, it started off as a journalist, but when I saw white space, it was like this itch I had to scratch, and so I had the support of my husband at that time, who just said go for it. And we were young, fresh out of college, no children at the time. I'm a mother of two, so I had everything to I could risk it all, and I believed in myself and invested in myself. And so I love being in the consumer product goods space. And so, to everyone's point, when we created our mission statement of why billion-dollar brows, it really came down to problem solution. So for me, I struggle with my eyebrows. Many people struggle with their eyebrows. We're living with masks right now. So our only form of communication is really above the mask. And so I created a campaign called Beauty Above the Mask. And the company has just exploded in terms of growth and education. And so it's really what you do with it. And so my mission statement, as being a problem solution based company, as a founder, is to spread the gospel, if you will, hallelujah is what we like to say, is to really help anyone who's facing, whether it be their brows or a business scenario. And my mission, I'm launching natalieplain.com shortly, will be that side of the business while also running billion-dollar brands. So billion-dollar beauty is where we pride ourselves, and we constantly push the needle in terms of innovation, quality products. And it's what I do every day, and I get up and I love what I do. And here we are.
Here we are. Now, Chastity, you were going to say something. We live in a something society.
A microwave society. That's what I call it. We live in a microwave society. We want to be able to put, it's like noodles. Like everything wants to be created, and like you would create a pack of noodles. You'd be able to put it in a microwave. In 4 minutes, you've got, what you're looking for. And that goes back to, Carex, what was your name?
Rachel.
I don't want to get it wrong. Yes, what Rachel was saying about this speed and instant gratification is we really want everything instantaneously, and and although we want it instant, how do we manage getting it quick but not lacking quality? Like that's really a big thing I think for entrepreneurs is trying to get focus on quality and speed. Like, so how is everybody else doing that? Like, how do you guys
go back to your foundation, right? Like, and making sure that you're set up for success. So I'm a big believer in failing fast and like getting 80% of the way there. So I think that if you can get your foundation set up and you can figure out what are really the core components that are super important, that can help you drive forward faster, and you can learn what's not going to work if you take on that fail fast mentality. There's actually like a really good lean product.
I was just going to ask you, are you into lean startup? That I was literally just going to ask you that when you said lean. Are you in the lean startup?
Yeah, and I think
are you startup right now?
Yeah, and it's great, and you can apply it to so many different types of businesses. And I mentioned I have the professional services with Carex, and then about a year ago I launched Figgy on Kickstarter with my business partner Chris, and we had a totally organic campaign that raised over $220,000 in less than 30 days, and we had to quickly shift to becoming a direct-to-consumer company. And now we've got deals with Nordstrom and Crate and Barrel and Bye Bye Baby and the Tot and all these other things that are kind of coming at us. So we've really relied on like lean startup to move our product forward and create efficiencies and figure out what's going to work and what's not.
And I think it's also important to be able to say no to ideas. I mean, for many years, people were coming to us saying, I want lipsticks and I want cheeks and I want, eyeshadows. And we just weren't there yet. So it really became problem solution, but also just don't create a product just to create it. Really do, look into data, talk to your customers so that you don't have to fail, right? Like there's a way of building a product so that it's on demand, and supply chain relationships are at the core. Like I work with 2 manufacturers who are basically family that I seek products, they are honest with me, and we roll out in waves. So we're not sitting on a ton of inventory, and we're talking directly to our customers. So the ability to say no to ideas that you may think sound good, but just aren't there is a powerful lesson that I've learned as well.
I think taking that one step further with the protecting your no, that's one thing that, especially the biggest thing when it comes to real estate, obviously, is I'm not necessarily directly selling a product. While yes, there can be properties and land and things of that nature, the biggest thing that you're essentially selling is yourself and your ability to serve others. And being able to protect that no, I think, is the thing that really differentiates the people that are successful at a higher level and the ones that are not. So in the case that Natalie mentioned about, you need to know what products you need to say no on, at least no for right now. And then it's being willing to say, hey, you know what, this is not true to where we are at the moment. This is not where we want our business or our brand or just your physical mental space. Being able to protect that without having to feel as though you need to defend it. I think that's one thing that probably sets most of us apart in our respective fields, is knowing the times to say yes and the times to say no, but then sticking to that no, even though it might seem easy.
I completely agree with both Natalie and Alex that that whole idea that is not only in personal development, which has been a huge aspect of growing me as an artist, but also in business, that the tools you need to survive, the tools you need to, at the beginning of your journey aren't necessarily the tools you need to thrive. So once you have established yourself and your business. So just like you said, I believe that there is great freedom in the yes, especially when you're starting off. So often, like especially during the recession, I gained so many skills, so many contacts, so many clients, and survived because, hey, can you do this at this gig, at this event? Yes. And then I figure it out. Can you do this? Yes. Whatever it is, I found a way to learn and adapt and grow so I could survive. But now being at a point in my career, like you said, where it's like, no, it's no longer wise to say yes to everything. I have to be far more discerning for my vision and my focus going forward, just because my business is in a different place. I'm in a different place.
I thought CJ was about to say something, because I've just been watching the two of you. You guys are like the perfect married couple. You know what I mean? Because you finish each other's sentences. You're on the same page. Because I'm like, watch, when Larissa finishes, CJ's going to add.
I'm surprised you didn't too. I love it.
Larissa and I have been married we're going to be married for 16 years going. And
you can tell.
Congrats.
We have a real shorthand together about how we go about things. So Larissa's passion is writing and creating, and I've always been a creator as well. So we live that life together, and we oftentimes, it's really important to have people that you trust in your life. So if you're an author, real estate agent, whatever, manufacturer, whatever, you have to have people that you trust, that you can, that you can help discern, is this worth a yes, or is this worth a no? Is it worth devoting my time to this? Even if the rewards are not financial, they may be esoteric. There may be other things that you expend your effort to accomplish. But having somebody to look at those things is really important. For instance, right now, Larissa was hired to translate a book into a film script, which is going to be a very lucrative job for Larissa. But the book was written and self-published by a 30-year veteran of the police force. He was a detective and very accomplished in his field. But the unfortunate thing is that he clearly didn't have anybody in his corner looking over his shoulder, because the book, the way it is, it's not of good quality, because the grammar is off, punctuation is bad. There's just all kinds of things that would turn off a reader. Whereas if there was somebody in there who said, no, you can't do it this way, you've got to do it better, or you've got to do it differently, or you need somebody with more expertise to help your product be better, that is really important. And that's where Larissa and I thrive, because we have a very yin-yang relationship with one another. She's good at certain things, I'm good at certain things, and she covers for my weaknesses and vice versa. And we all need that to help our product, our service, whatever it is, achieve its highest level.
And I'd say that if anybody's in business with their significant other, and in the early stages, it gets easier because trust takes time to build. I trust that that CJ's coming from a place of no ego, no agenda. There's no warring egos between us. He doesn't have anything to prove. He just wants a product to be as good as possible.
I think regardless of whether it's your spouse or your business partner, and I founded Carex with my husband as well, and we work together. It's having a skill set, kind of like an opposite skill set. I always look for when I'm founding a company or starting a venture. I don't need two of me. I need somebody who's going to complement me and somebody who's going to bring a new skill set to the table. And I find that that's really what brings success. If you're looking to start something, don't look for a clone necessarily. Look for somebody who's going to support you, lift you up, and complement you.
Absolutely. Now we do have to stop for a brief commercial break, and we're going to come back because I thought Gary was going to do all the talking. We haven't heard from Gary. News, but right now we do have to stop for a brief commercial break.
You need jordansrooter.com. Get free estimates, 24-hour service, special discounts for seniors and veterans. That's jordansrooter.com. Have a home repair or some remodeling you need done? No problem. We can handle all that too. Give us a call today at 800-300-0358. At Jordan's Rooter, we take pride in our work and always make sure to get the job done right the first time. That's jordansrooter.com. We want to be your Mr. Fix-It.
I'm never going back to my messy makeup bag ever again. And it's all thanks to the $1 Billion Box from $1 Billion Beauty. Ordering from the website was so easy, and I love that I can get all my makeup in one place. My first impression, I am absolutely obsessed with their palette system. Each product comes without any excess packaging, and their pressed eyeshadows are so gorgeous. The best part about this brand is their $1 Billion Box. It's magnetic, and it comes with a full face mirror.
Are you a business owner, CEO, entrepreneur, artist, musician, celebrity, or influencer interested in more exposure for your business? Schedule your one-on-one interview with Sharifah Hardie today. We handle everything for you. We video interview you, we professionally produce your interview, and we distribute your interview. We do the work so you can focus on putting your best foot forward. If you have been looking for more ways to get your product or service in front of more people, this is the opportunity for you. Schedule your one-on-one interview with Sharifah Hardie today.
Yes, if you are just now tuning in to the Roundtable Talk Show, you have missed so much. We've been learning, finding out what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur, what it's like to work with your spouse, so much information. So you definitely want to catch this show from the top of the show in the archives if you missed anything. But right now, I'm sure Gary has some thoughts. Gary, everybody's been talking, been chatting. I want to know what's going on in that innovative mind of yours.
Yeah, well, I have to tell you, I thought I figured a lot of things out until I'm talking to this group. They're right on the ball in terms of one of the topics is saying no to products and ideas. Geez, that's a big topic right there. But the team here nailed it. The hardest thing to do that I find as an inventor is to say no to products and solutions and not to spend the time and effort, because there's so much work behind launching a product. It's insane, right? So one of the aspects or one of the things I tell people that want to be an inventor or launch a product is you need to engage with professional people in that arena. Somehow just find them, meet with them, jump on a plane and meet with them and really get the nitty gritty of that particular target market, because it's never as simple, obviously, as it appears. And especially in healthcare, it's such a tricky area, as Carex probably knows, that you really have to understand the arena, understand the target market, and and follow the money kind of thing. So that's been a huge challenge, and I just tell inventors when I'm asked about that, just to do that, to engage with one or two at least people that have been in that particular arena for years, and just befriend them, and most people will talk about it, right? Like if you're honest and you have a good idea, and they'll probably sign an NDA that, talk to them about it, get all the answers before you spend time doing it, because it's so easy to do that and get into a rabbit hole and waste your time for years. Like even with Reminder Rosie, when I invented it back in 2010, because my father ended up in the hospital because he forgot his meds, because my mother wasn't home to remind him one day. And then, hey, geez, I had no idea. And I was in the timepiece arena. And I woke up one day with that aha moment. Hey, why don't I put a voice reminder on the device to remind the care recipient to do a task, whether it's taking meds, whether it's going to the washroom before they go to bed, anything, right? Millions of different use cases. And I thought, and then I put it out there. I decided to go into it, and then I put it out there, and then I had, fantastic reviews. It was like, the best thing since sliced bread. And I thought, I'd be able to help millions of people, remember their meds and tasks and their favorite TV shows and birthdays, anniversaries, etc. But the reality is that most people expected insurance to pay for that. And you realize that, with products for elders, it's one of the few categories where the purchaser is not the user. So it's actually, you're doing two sales, right? So it gets even trickier like that. So, and the reality is that, it took 10 years, and we just launched with a major insurance company that is going to offer Rosie as a benefit. It took 10 years to get to that spot, right? So I tell you, it's unless you're digging in deep with people that are in the arena, I wouldn't jump into anything without getting good advice from people that have experience in that space.
Networking is, I feel like, the best way to get to figure out the way to go. And I say that because you don't know what you don't know. And I found every time, kind of to Gary's point, that you talk to somebody who's been there and done that, you avoid a bunch of steps that you maybe would have taken and had to go through the process to learn that they're not going to be a right fit, or it's not the right direction. So you can just get so much valuable advice reaching out to contacts. And usually I find that people are more than happy to help and kind of share their experience.
Well, that's the exciting part when it comes to learning from others, and whether it's in interview form like this, where we're having discussions around the round table, or if it's reading books or podcasts or interview, anything that you can go through and get that information and be able to consume that. You're essentially taking don't need to put anybody on, but 36 books out of 4 years and condensing it down into however many hours. You're taking years and years of someone's life and experience, and whether it's in film production or theater or starting business or SaaS or just being an author, and condensing it down to such a small time. That's how you're able to take, whether it's an idea or a product or a service, and be able to really scale it quickly, but in a way that is true to you and helps you avoid some of those pitfalls throughout the entire process.
Yeah, I have something to add to that too. When it comes to networking, we all have to have the mindset that, like you said, we don't know everything, and that we have to be open to new ideas, and therefore having a network will also include people who can be mentors to you. My wife here, Larissa, she graduated from film school when she was 17 years old, college. And she has a very big brain, which is,
or no life, one or the other,
which I very much appreciate. But as a theater producer and director, I knew what I knew, just like I'm sorry, whoever
Alex
said that. And I knew what I knew, but getting into the film business, that's a completely different animal. And my network knew what I was trying to accomplish, what Larissa and I were trying to accomplish. And they introduced us to people who'd been there before that, fell into some very deep potholes that they advised us how to avoid them or how to overcome the challenges that come up. Because we live in a completely different environment. Like you said earlier, everybody wants instant gratification when it comes to things. Well, here's an instance of instant gratification that Larissa and I were not prepared for. We released our movie about a year ago. And I was talking to a gentleman. He actually was the film critic for Reuters. And he's a film director. And he advised me that you really need to get a takedown service for your film. And I was like, what is a takedown service? I don't know. It's like LifeLock for intellectual capital. Because once our film was released on the internet, in the first week, we had 800 pirates steal our film.
But fortunately, he had warned us.
He warned us. And so I bought this takedown service. And in the course of 1 year, had 2,100 pirate sites take down our film, which was literally stealing our intellectual capital. So that is an instance of having a mentor and I didn't know this person. They were referred to me by my network. And that is what we found most valuable with everything. The network of people that we brought in to make our film, to help us during, before, and after.
Couldn't have done it without them.
I mean, my network is how I got started. And, not even with the writing part, but with the coaching part of it. I had, of course, I probably always could have done it, but it wasn't on my mind to coach or to help anyone. But I have that spirit. I just have that nature of helping, giving to people and, doing things. And I'm a very good learner. Like, there's not anything that I won't learn how to do if it interests me. So I got started with my network, and because I'm African American and because I'm a woman, we get placed into these kind of boxes when it comes to when it's literary, or just really sometimes any time we get placed into these boxes. And when I got started, I didn't want to be an urban writer. I didn't want to write about, gangs or anything like that, although those are real things. And I know that lifestyle too, but I wanted to write romance. I wanted to write paranormal. I wanted to write shapeshifters. And I also wanted to write whatever I wanted to. I wanted to go wherever the pen took me, not to feel like I was placed in a box. And that was one of the things that I wanted, why I started Reckless, and that is my coaching, because I want people to feel like they can be reckless in whatever it is that they do. Writing, you don't have to be placed in a box. I don't want to be placed in a box. I want to be able to write what I want to write. But it was definitely my network that got me started in it. It's like, hey, let me pay you. You should coach me. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I have my own writing to do. How am I supposed to? But I think when your assignment, you're doing something that you are assigned to do, that you are called to do, there's a way that's going to be made. Everything that you need, you're going to already know you have within you. So I think that's important. And I think it was Alex that said something about, knowing what you want to do. And CJ and Larissa said something about discernment. And, it is important to understand your assignment versus what you're interested in, right? Because when you're interested in something, I do think you kind of say yes to a lot of stuff that you wouldn't normally say yes to. I have to cut services down now because they were just things that I knew how to do and I was interested in. They were not my assignment-based business and something I was called to do that I'm really passionate about. So I just don't do them anymore.
Yeah. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it.
Right, Alex.
And to your point with writing, Chastity, I think writing is at the core of all of our companies, our businesses, our inventions. So studying, having been a writer, journalist, my husband, who's a trained film writer, went to USC Film School, he pivoted and came on board with the company very early on, writing customer service emails, writing legal drafts. I mean, you fake it till you make it. because you can't afford all these different roles. And so something I've learned just in the past 10 years really is about sharing your story and his story, the founder's story. People need to know who is behind the brand, and something that's not an easy muscle for me personally, but I'm working towards that and talking about it and sharing, like the trials and tribulations of running a company and what it takes from the ground up. So storytelling, I think, is at the core of any industry, and it's really important to hone that skill and put it on paper and then put it out for the ether.
Yeah, I think people want to see real. They want to see real. I mean, yeah, there's pretty aspects of business, but they also want to see honesty, like, because I don't know very many people that have started off in business and just took off with no issues whatsoever, no hiccups, no blunders, no mistakes. So they do want to see the real. They want that transparent aspect of writing. And I think that's how I also became the co-founder of Company Curators, because I was a client of the founder. I was a client of her. She ran Finding Freedom, teaching women how to build businesses. I wanted to do better with my coaching business because I was serious about it. And as I worked with her and worked through her, and she would ask me a couple of times to write something here, or to look into something here, and before you know it, she was offering me a position within the company, and I was like kind of thrown off by it, because I'm like, what do you see in me that I don't see yet? But again, I'm very transparent about my story, where I've come from, things that I've done, things that I've tried, and it's worked when it came to coaching clients within her business, because that's how I got started working in her business. It's helping her coach other people, because it's not always easy. There's got to be some real there. There's got to be some relatability also with business. So you're right, Natalie. Everybody needs to share their story, and it's not always comfortable. But, I think that is really, like, you can really hit the nail on the head when you start being transparent and sharing the ugly, the beauty, the cool, the I get to wake up in my pajamas aspects of it, but also I messed up, right? Like, I made a mistake. This was a bad move. This is what I learned from it. It's okay to share those stories. I love sharing stories.
Entrepreneurship is such a roller coaster, right?
Yeah.
It's the ups and the downs. And I think that's what I try to let other people know, is you're going to have some down days where you just really feel defeated, and you have to get used to feeling that uncomfortable feeling and realizing you're going to have like high highs too and big wins. And it's all about, you got to keep your eye on the prize and be in it for the long term, and realize that you're not the only one hitting roadblocks.
Well, as you're going through and really telling that story, like Natalie had mentioned, you want to surround yourself with as many people that are putting wind in your sails and not dropping anchors off the bow. Like, the more people that can just help you moving forward, whether it's in the product or the service, the business, the coaching, the writing, whatever it might be, you want to surround yourself with the folks that are telling that story on your behalf when they're around people that you're not around. And that's how you're going to go through and get somebody who's going to go through from Reuters and give you advice and have those discussions with you, because they want to see you succeed, not because it's going to make them lose, but because of your success, they get to win also. And having people support that, I think, is crucial for anybody to be successful in their sphere.
I've got something to add to that. One thing I've discovered over the years is that there's many people who are very reticent when it comes to their gifts. And I've always told Larissa, because Larissa is very, very modest in her talents, which are prodigious. However, I always tell Larissa, and I find this actually to be more prevalent in women, where they're reticent about wanting to share for fear of it sounding like braggadocio or whatever.
Well, yeah, because it's how we're culturally conditioned as women so often. Be modest, be unassuming, be quiet.
But I always say, you are literally doing people a favor by letting them know what you're about and what you can do. You don't know who can use whatever gifts that you have. And if you're always silent about them, or you're somehow feel like you shouldn't be talking about yourself and your services because it might make you seem overconfident or braggadocious or whatever it is, that's the wrong attitude to have, because ultimately as entrepreneurs, we are all still salespeople.
Mhm.
Ultimately, being a salesperson for your own self and your own services and talents and gifts and what you bring to the world, if you don't let anybody know what they are, you can't capitalize on them, and nobody else can either. So you've got to look at promoting yourself as giving other people a gift. And that mindset alone will help you understand how to do it in a way that's productive to everybody.
Absolutely. Just like the Roundtable Talk Show. Now we are coming down to the last few minutes of the Roundtable Talk Show. And what I love to do at the end of every show is just simply allow my guests the opportunity to speak directly to the audience, to everyone who is watching the show live, as well as everyone who is watching in the archives, and let them know what you want them to take away from your appearance here today. And we're going to start with you, Gary.
Okay, great. So yeah, I think that the biggest takeaways from today is that you really need to vet new ideas with your network that we discussed on the show, and also people not in your network that will add ideas and comments to what you want to do. I think another big takeaway is, and it was brought up just recently on the show, that it's important to engage with your, I think they're called like evangelists. So people that will support what you're doing, that will talk about what you're doing, and just whisper in people's ear about your projects. I think that's really important, to plant seeds in as many places as you can, because I think that's a really good way to grow businesses and ideas and success. And in terms of, I guess the one more really important one, I think is on the funding side. We didn't talk about it too much, but it's to do it yourself is really tough these days. And when you do get a funder, you just got to make sure that they're going to do what they say they're going to do. I've gone through, my biggest problem in my career was actually finding funders that do what they say. Right. So I do what I say, but if they don't, then everything falls apart. And that happened to me like 3-4 times until I got the right investor that does what he says. So that's my 3 key takeaways.
Absolutely. Thank you, Gary. Rachel, what do you have for the people?
Yeah. So I just encourage people to take the leap into entrepreneurship. It can be really, really rewarding. It's been awesome to grow CareX to what it is today, working nationwide with all types of startups and companies and helping them build these teams. And then launching the Figgy for kids during the pandemic and having a product company grow, and then developing a software company as well. I've learned so much. And for me, that's a continual way that I can learn and sharpen my skill set. And I think anybody can get started in entrepreneurship. You don't have to have a background already. It's something that doesn't require a degree, doesn't require a certain skill set. It's truly accessible to anybody. And I think that's such an important aspect. So I just want to encourage people to follow their dreams. If they have an idea, go for it and find those contacts in that network that can support you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Miss Chastity.
My takeaways are definitely going to be to network, but not only should you network, but trust in your network. And if you do not have a trusted network, get one. There are several people out here that are willing to share, that are sharing their stories. So whether it be social media, this is my second takeaway, whether it be social media or you wanting to write a book, share your story. Sometimes our own freedom comes in the form of someone else's freedom. So you sharing your story, giving people, hope and confidence and the things that you probably don't even know that your story possesses, give that to people. And my third thing is if there's something that, and this kind of piggybacks off Rachel, following your dreams, if there's something that it's keeping you up at night, you can't stop thinking about it, you've got friends in your ear telling you that you should do this and this would be a really good thing for you, to pray on it and understand that it could possibly be your assignment and your calling, and that it's okay to explore that. It's okay to be curious. It's okay to want to do more and want to have more. And there may not be an instant gratification that you get, and it may not be money, but it definitely will change your life. Following your assignment and doing the things that you love can truly transform and change your life. Those are my takeaways.
I love it. I love it. Miss Natalie.
Yeah, and to that point, I always say scratch that itch, right? Like when you have an itch and it keeps showing up and you're like, okay, this is it. I need to pay attention to this calling and believing in it, and also being mindful and surrounding yourself with trusted people. I think we hit upon that really well. Surrounding yourself with quality people who aren't yes people. Something we didn't touch upon, which I'm very, very, very passionate about. I think you brought up the Reuters issue with protecting your IP, intellectual property. So your ideas, your patents, your trademarks, copyrights. I think it's really important to invest in that early and do your due diligence before you launch a product to make sure that the name's not taken, the idea is not taken before you start spending money in places that just aren't going to come to fruition. So with that being said, funding, I think Gary brought up funding. I think, we work with banks. Banking is probably one of the oldest institutions to be working with, but they're necessary. And over the years, we've been having to navigate those waters. We're fortunate to have to learn from our past, so to go to the future. But funding for women, and I love seeing all the women here on this panel, and having universal childcare, I think is really important for women to be able to do the entrepreneur, to be in the workforce. It's critical at this point in our labor shortage. And so, I think it's really exciting to hear from everybody, and let's keep this network going. I'm so inspired right now.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Mr. Alex.
Yeah, I mean, with following off that, it's putting as much of that positivity and that motivation going forward and surrounding yourself, Gary had mentioned earlier, with those evangelists that really are going to help carry that torch and tell that story on your behalf, I think is critical. And then for right now, I mean, the success, whether you're starting as an entrepreneur or in film or as an author or anything else like that, your success overall is how you can add the most amount of value to the most amount of people. So thinking that, you know what, I've got this itch, but I don't want to scratch it because I don't want to be the one, I think Larissa had mentioned, I don't want to be the one that speaks up, that goes against the grain. I mean, I don't want to say don't be the disservice by not being able to provide the service to others. So find yourself doing that, surround yourself with people that are encourage it, and then keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely agree. Miss Larissa, Mr. CJ, take us out. Final words.
Well, last words to say to all our entrepreneurs out there listening is that if you want to go the distance and build a long-lasting foundation for your business, for your career, it's going to take so much longer than you initially thought it should. But that's what lasts, those trees that are slow-growing oaks. And you're going to need so many people along the way to come alongside you and believe in you and believe in the dream. But if you stick to that and you don't take those shortcuts, you're going to have something that you've built that is truly lasting and of quality.
Exactly. And then as far as we go, I mean, we're filmmakers, independent filmmakers, and so we're entrepreneurs, and our service doesn't cost you anything. So I expect everybody on the panel and everybody who's listening to check out our film, The Misadventures of Mrs. Maneater. It's earning rave reviews across. We're getting fan mail from across the world. People are loving it. It's a romantic comedy that basically blows up the entire genre. I would love to talk to it's Charity about that further. I don't see the names. Chastity. Sorry. But it blows up the genre, and it's highly entertaining. You're going to get a lot of belly laughs out of it, and you're also there's also deeper meanings that you'll enjoy. And like I said, it doesn't cost anything. It's on all the streaming platforms. Just type in Mistress Maneater to a search. It'll be the first thing that pops up. Somebody's
there we go.
Anyway,
that's our cue.
That's our cue. So thank you so much.
That's okay. I want to thank you all for being guests on today's episode of the Roundtable Talk Show. And I especially want to thank everyone who tuned in to watch this show, as well as everyone who is watching it in the archives. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you sharing. But as always, the most important thing to me is that you support our guests. Our guests are here this morning to support you, to give you their advice, give you their guidance, to share their products, services with you. So please support them. You might want some real estate. I don't know. Alex knows about that. You might want to watch a great film. CJ and Larissa can help you. Maybe you have almost 40 books in you. Chastity wants to help you. We have so many people. Natalie can make you beautiful. Gary's going to help you with that invention. Rachel, she's just going to help you make the money. She's going to help you get the money. So support our guests. That's what I ask of you. Now, if you're interested in more ways that I can help your business, or maybe you want to be a guest on the Roundtable Talk Show, please visit my website at AskSharifah.com. Until tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Pacific, everyone have a safe,